Yeah, this is Hailey Springer, and she is from York, Maine. She's going to explain a little bit about herself in a minute. But before she comes on, she's done a great project, and she's actually about to graduate high school. So she's done an AP project, and she's an environmentalist, which we love on here because we have a lot of people that are very progressive and very environmental friendly on here. So I'm going to shut up, Hailey, and let you talk. So, Hailey, thanks so much for coming on. Really appreciate your time tonight.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Hailey, can you tell the viewers a little bit about you, where you're from, and then you can go into the project if you like. That'd be great.
Yeah, so I'm Hailey Springer and I live in a small town in York in Maine, and I'm about to graduate. I'm a senior in high school, and so for the past 8 months or so, I've been working on a project for my AP research class. And so it's a full year of researching any topic we would like, and we do all the methods and the writing, and then we present it at the end of the year. So I decided to focus on three things that I want to include in like my future career endeavors: marine conservation, marketing, and photography. And so the question I was trying to answer was, what type of marine conservation photography in New England, where I'm based, is best persuades residents to take action both physically and financially? And then
Mhm.
what role does gender, age, and location play into that conclusion? So I was basically trying to determine whether like heart-wrenching photos make people donate, or if the beautiful photos make people want to donate as well. Like, which type of photos really get people to take action regarding marine conservation? And so from there, I was able to send out a survey to the public of New England. Like 26 businesses across the region sent that out, and I reached over 511 respondents. And I used that and was able to create my findings. And through all of that research, I was able to find that um, if you present negative human impact photos and positive human impact photos, so the photos of showing plastic in our oceans and also the photos showing people picking up that plastic, will make people more likely to donate, volunteer, or further educate themselves. And then just the negative human impact photos will make people more likely to improve their habits or advocate for the ocean. So I was able to find some pretty cool findings, and I was also able to determine that age is significant and that a younger audience is more likely to volunteer and further educate themselves, which is something that you
Right.
can assume, but it's pretty cool to see in statistical significance there.
But what do you see as a person that's 18 years old with your peers that are around your age? Do you feel like they're more environmentally conscious? Do you feel like they would pick up the trash, or is it a mix, I guess?
I do feel like the people my age, from my experiences, are more likely to pick up the trash and be environmentally conscious just
Hmm.
because of kind of the education around that we've experienced. I
Right.
also think that we're going to be the most affected by it. We're about to go in this world and become
Right.
the leaders of all different aspects. And so we want to go into a world that's thriving and not dying. From what I've seen of older people who don't necessarily care as much about throwing the trash wherever
Hmm.
they are in the world, I think that they don't necessarily know the harms of it. And so that's where like I wanted to look into the marketing aspect, because the only way to understand what the harm of it is to really be presented with that information through social media and online. And that's where it's harder for people who are a bit older. They may not be have as much of an online presence, so it's a bit harder
Hmm.
to just receive the information to really see that what they're doing does have an impact on the world.
What would you say to a lot of these people that really push that? I'm a conservative. I really don't give a crap about the environment. This global warming stuff, the temperatures fluctuate. It's all a bunch of a hoax made up by Al Gore and the Democrats. What would you say to those people?
Well, first of all, I do think that like exponentially over time, your habits do have an impact. So if they continue those habits that are bad for the environment, it will have an impact over time.
Sure.
And second of all, I think it's a lack of education. Like, we all can learn more about like the politics side of these things. And that education, especially in my research project, when I was talking to like marine conservation focused organizations, including the New England Aquarium,
Right.
they really said that education is a big piece, and that's one that they push a lot, because without the education aspect, people won't get out there and get involved. So I really think that people who are pushing it as like a political side and they won't change their mind just based on the politics of it, just really need to like take a second and educate themselves and like understand both sides from both political points of view, and just really understand that this isn't a political thing. It's like, this is the only world we have.
This is Hailey Springer here on Fire with and Rob. Hailey, let's go back into you because we do want to learn a little bit more about you, Hailey. With that said, can you tell the viewers a little bit of what made you get into the environment? Was it your parents? Was it a teacher or a mentor at school? How did you get into, caring so much about the environment in general?
Yeah, so freshman year of high school, 15 years old, I picked up a diving magazine. I mean, that wasn't that long ago, but I picked up a diving magazine and I really became like infatuated with the idea of like diving. And so I asked my dad and we became certified that year. And being like underwater in this world that's just so unreachable for so many really made me realize that without people understanding that there are issues going on underneath the water, they're never going to know. Whereas some other types of conservation are very visible with like wildfires and so forth. Things that happen underwater impact us greatly, but they're not as visible. So I was certified in Key Largo, Florida, and we went and dove on some coral reefs, but they weren't that vibrant. And I watched a recent video in my marine science class talking about the acidification of our oceans and coral bleaching and in Australia and so forth. And it's just like carbon dioxide in our oceans, and it all comes back to us. And the impact that humans have on our oceans leads to the snowball effect of more issues, and it all leads back to harming us in the end.
So I do want to talk about, and I appreciate you bringing up the acidification of the oceans in general and the coral reefs and the bleaching of those coral reefs. With that said, because it is a huge problem. We look at as far as fish, and if the fish die, obviously we are overfishing our oceans. That's another story for another day. But with that, and a lot of these fish are eating plastic. So when we eat the fish, plastic is coming into our bodies. We don't see the plastic because it's microscopic because of all that. Go ahead, Hailey. I know you had to say something. Go ahead.
Yeah. So in that documentary that I did just watch, it was talking about microplastics, and they were doing biopsies on seabirds, and they would see like how they died, and they would open them up and just like a pound of plastic would be in there. The whole bellies would just be filled with not only the microplastics, but full pieces that they were mistaking for food. And it just really shows like the physical impacts that we have had, because a lot of times you can't see some of the harmful impacts that humans have on our world. So that really hit me hard.
I commend you for what you're doing. I appreciate it. So thanks so much, Hailey. I appreciate your time tonight.
Thank you. And I hope to talk with you again when your podcast is even bigger and my career is taken off in the future.